Hi, I'm Max with Save Your Home Buyers. You might have seen me online working with some senior homeowners here in Northeast Tarrant County. Maybe you got a copy of my newest book, Home to Home, the step-by-step senior housing guide that walks families through what to do with their house, how to stay in their home, types of senior housing that's available, and how to pay for the senior housing too, because it get pretty expensive. And one of the questions that I get asked very, very often is how to sell a house to an investor and it turned out to be a good outcome. And so that's what I'm going to break down today in this video. Okay, so I'm going to break down some of the benefits and ideal customers and drawbacks, because if you sell your house to an investor and you don't know what you're doing, it can be a big time disaster. One is it can cost you a lot of time. There's a lot of investors out there, unfortunately, and they're telling people they're going to buy their house, but they're actually not. And they use all these, like little clauses to get out of the agreement that they have with the homeowner. So you think that you sold your house to somebody who is reputable and above board. Now you got to start all over. So there's time. A lot of it is the stress. It's really scary when you don't know who to trust, and if somebody's actually telling you the truth or not. That can just kind of weigh on you emotionally. As far as money goes, that's a huge one. How do you know if you're getting a fair price? Well, don't worry, because I've created some scripts to empower you, to educate you on how to figure out if the person you're talking to is somebody you really want to do business with or not. So I'm going to share those with you. But because if you get it wrong and you just go to the first person that you find online on a Google search, it can definitely wreck stuff up. There's no doubt about it. And you don't want that. If you're watching my videos, most of the people who watch them, they're either senior homeowners or they're the adult children. And if your senior is going through some mobility problems, or you've got a house that needs to sell, you got enough stuff to worry about. The last thing you want to worry about is the person helping you really helping or not. So I'm going to break down some ways to have a great outcome. It is possible. So, when people call us, my company, Save Your Home Buyers, to have us look at their house and figure out what's going on, the benefits they're looking for is usually they want to sell their house kind of on the faster side, meaning money in their hands in less than 30 days. And that's typically the way it works. It can be less, but that's typically what they're looking at. The ideal customer for this type of service is somebody who doesn't have a lot of money to put into their house for repairs or updates. And usually the house is in pretty rough shape, or it just has a lot of deferred maintenance. Cosmetically, it just doesn't match what's going on in the neighborhood. And but the drawbacks is that if the house is mostly or fully updated, you're usually not going to make as much as if you use a real estate agent. And I've got some other videos that you can go back and check out that break down the 3 main ways to sell your home, pros and cons of each. So now what I'm going to do is kind of go over some scripts that you can use when you're reaching out to figure out if the person who says they're a real estate investor, says that they can help you, make sure it's the right person. And I have my customers ask me these questions, even though I'm a best-selling author and I wrote them in my book. I still have them ask me, but because they're super, super crucial questions. And when you ask these questions to an investor, they're going to be like, "Where'd you get those questions?" Because they've never been asked these before. And because we're disrupting the whole industry. Right now, the investor industry, a lot of times, it's just built on secrecy. And it's built on, somebody, having big information. The investor has a lot more information than you do. And they use that, kind of against you. And I don't think that's right. I was a teacher before, an HEB ISD, before I got involved in real estate. So I'm all about education and empowering. I want to work with people that know what's going on, and they decide that our company's the best fit, not people who get tricked into it. You know what I mean? So let's go over these questions right now and break them down, and this is going to help you a ton. Okay, so let's break down some of the questions that you want to ask before you reach out to an investor, or when you reach out to one, what you want to ask them. So number one is, this is before you actually go and look for an investor. Number one, you need to identify, are there any mortgages, taxes, or other liens that are late on your existing house? An investor is going to need to know that. Are there any impending foreclosures, any impending foreclosure deadlines, recent or impending bankruptcy? Is everybody on the title present and ready to sign the purchase agreement. Otherwise it's going to be a big waste of time. If you need action and you need something to happen quickly, you want everybody there. So doing that investigation helps out a ton. And if there's any other family members or advisors that you want to include in the decision, have them there too. What's the payoff amount for your mortgage? You want to know that. And then I always advise people to come up with 3 things when they're speaking to an investor. So number 1 is the price that you would really like for your house. Number 2 is the price that you would accept. And then number 3 is your absolute minimum. And most of the time, if you just let people know what those are up front, it's actually going to serve you a lot better, because the kind of person you want to work with, they're going to make you a fair offer and try to get you as much as you can. And how you make sure that you're talking to somebody like that is the next page in the workbook. And these are questions to ask when you're with an investor in person. So number 1, how do you come up with a fair price for the home? And then you don't say anything. You just let them talk. And you're going to find out real quick what's going on. If it's because I've met some investors that really put a lot of heart and thought into it. We do, our company, Save Your Home Buyers. That's what we do. It's like we look and see, okay, what are the house going to sell for, in 3 or 6 months? What's the true rehab cost, holding costs, and then how much profit do we want to make? Just like you go to work and you want to get paid, so does a real estate agent, so does a contractor, and so does an investor. So, make sure that you're aligning with somebody that's trying to create a win-win. Win-win, both people are going to, win in the deal. Okay. How are you going to pay for the house? Do you have a proof of funds letter? Ooh, this is a big one. As soon as you ask that question, the investor's going to go, where did you get this list of questions? And you can say, Max gave it to me. You can show them the workbook or the book. That's key, because what that does is it lets you really vet out. If somebody was going to buy your home to live in it, they have to qualify for the mortgage and they have to have a pre-approval letter. Why shouldn't an investor also? And the reason is because a lot of investors, like I was saying on earlier videos, don't actually buy their house or your house. They say they're a cash buyer. They really just get your house under contract, and then they do what's called an assignment of contract. Nothing wrong with it. It's not illegal in our state. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying, make sure that you know what's going on, and what they try to do is sell they have a big list of cash buyers that you probably don't have access to. And, if you get the price that you want for your house and they end up closing, what's the difference if they make a little money? There's nothing wrong with that. They did work. They provided value to the transaction. When you can get into trouble is when somebody says that they're going to buy it and then they don't and they back out. That's when the problems arise. Okay. If I perform repairs on the house, will that increase the value of the home? See what they say. In what condition can I leave the house when I sell it to you? When people work with us, a lot of times we just let them leave whatever it is that they don't want to take. And that's a big benefit for them, especially if they're moving into a senior housing facility, which almost all of our customers are seniors. That's a huge benefit because most of those places are furnished. So we let the family members take the furniture that they want to take, and then everything else we just donate to local charity, Habitat for Humanity, stuff like that. Okay. So that's a big benefit because you don't have to go through all that. A lot of family members are unnecessarily trying to empty out the house, and you don't necessarily have to do that if you're going to sell to an investor. Okay. When can we close? Do you have any references? It's always important. Will you need to access the property? When will the utilities and insurance be cut off? So just kind of navigating all of that, the details. What does the closing process look like? And then who pays additional lawyer or closing costs? Sometimes there's some additional costs involved if, the legal documents that you're using to sell the house have to be reworked or something like that. So it's just important to know who is going to actually pay for all of that. So that's it. I hope that those questions, that you can use now before while you're researching a company to call and work with, or, when you're actually in front of an investor. I hope those questions really, really help. And if you got some good value from this video, feel free to check out our other videos and have a great day. Bye.